Hey guys, what is going on? Welcome to another No Place to Be video. I'm Alex and today we're going to be answering the question, is the T120 a good bike for a first time rider? It's a question I asked myself 1,000 times. I'm sure you're asking exactly the same question. Well, as someone who went from zero riding experience to getting this as a first bike, today I'm going to be addressing the positives, the negatives and my overall opinion on having this as a first time rider. Okay, so just some general points about the bike. The Bonneville T120 is a 1200cc parallel twin high torque engine. What does that mean? The high torque means that you're basically going to get power in any gear. It's going to give that low grunty noise and you're going to pick up pretty fast. The bike generates about 80 brake horsepower, so it's by no means slow, and the weight comes in at about 225 kg. That said, the riding position is quite low, so you can easily flat foot this thing, stopping at corners or junctions and traffic lights. The fact that you've got your foot down in a nice even position, you've got that nice comfy, all that weight onto one foot, it's a really easy way of handling the bike. So in layman's terms, it's a fast bike. 80 brake horsepower, you're going to be hitting 60 mile an hour in about 4 seconds. The bike will top out at 120 mile an hour, but at the end of the day, I don't really think you're going to be doing those speeds as a beginner rider, unless you're taking this to tracks. So in terms of speed, it's probably not the fastest bike on the market in terms of sporty racing. If you're after those kind of track bikes, then the Bonneville probably isn't for you. That said, if you're after the urban cruiser or cafe style racer bikes, then the Bonneville is definitely up there in terms of speed. The bike comes with two rider modes. You've got a rain mode and a road mode. So the rain mode, the throttle's just that little bit less responsive, so when you're coming out of corners you've got a bit of surface water, you don't want to be skidding out and losing the bike underneath you. I think the rain mode can be used as a great asset as a beginner rider. First time out, first few times out, just slip it into rain mode, just get used to the weight of the bike, just get used to how it moves, what's the difference between what you learnt on. And as soon as you feel confident enough, get it straight into road mode. This is what you're going to be using every day. I think when it comes to riding this kind of bike, the bike really isn't the deciding factor. I think it's you. I think if you're confident in your riding and you don't do anything stupid, you'll be completely fine on this Bonneville. That said, there is a fine line between confidence and cockiness. So don't just get on this bike and assume that if you're confident, you're going to be fine. I mean, at the end of the day, it's an engine strapped between your legs that'll go 100 mile an hour quite easily. And there's a lot of dickhead drivers out there. So just make sure you're aware and, enjoy it. So one of my favourite topics and why I was drawn to the Bonneville is the aesthetics and the looks of the bike. I mean, this bike really is an iconic bike. If you gave a kid some pencils and asked them to drew a vintage old school bike, they're going to come out with a Bonneville or a Bonneville style bike. I mean, it looks great. It's got that nice matte black finish on the T120 Black Edition. If I'm honest, I'm not a big fan of the new 21 model year paint jobs. That's just my opinion on them. I don't really like the two-tone tanks, but if you're into that, then yeah, go ahead and get it. You'll often be driving through city centres, you'll see a lot of heads turn into the bike. You've got that nice dirty engine sound that turns the heads, and then obviously the bike looks great. You'll catch yourself in a lot of shop windows and cafe windows, and I do anyway, and I think, oh, that's a nice looking bike. But I mean, at the end of the day, if you're spending this much money on a bike and you don't like the way you look or the way the bike looks, it's probably not the right bike to be buying. It's a lot of money and you should be enjoying it. So obviously, I just want to address this. The T120 is a step up from what you've learnt on. The question is it too much of a step up? For me, whatever you've learnt on, you've probably learned on one of the typical riding school bikes, a little bit knackered, just there to do a job. 600cc, you stay on it for about 6 weeks and you never want to see it again. Now your first bike's always going to be a step up, but is the Bonneville too much? I would probably say no. There's never been a day I've got on this bike since passing my test on the first night. I've never got on this and felt that the bike was in control, or it's too powerful, or it's too much to handle. I've never ever had that thought. There's a lot of videos out there where you've got people reviewing this who haven't had this as the first bike and they're just giving their opinions as if they are, which I don't think is valid, but a lot of those will say it's too powerful for a beginner rider. I cannot disagree more. There's nothing in this bike that I've struggled with since getting it. Which brings me on to my next question. Would I enjoy biking as much if I didn't have a Bonneville T120 as my first bike? And the answer is definitely no. I think the reason I enjoy biking so much and getting out is the fact that we've all got premium bikes. James has just reviewed the Speed Twin, so be sure to check that video out. But we both agree that these kind of bikes are fine for beginner riders, and the reason we enjoy biking so much is the fact that we've got these kind of bikes. I think if I got one of the beginner, let's say, bikes in quotation marks, the classic ones that the YouTube tells you to get, I don't think I'd enjoy biking as much. The fact I enjoy it is the fact that we're out on these kind of bikes. They look great, they sound great, they handle great, and there's nothing there that a beginner rider can't handle. I've got to say, it's one of the best things I've done doing this. There's nothing better than going out on a big trip on a summer evening when the weather's great. We took them out to Wales last year, so again, make sure you check that video out. We took them out to Wales, great times, great way of travelling, and a great way to hang out with your mates. Okay, so as with anything, there's always going to be a drawback, and with the Bonneville, it definitely is the price tag. It took a lot of saving, and I think as a young guy, if you're coming in from the soon as you can end of spectrum getting this bike, it really is quite hard to save this kind of money. The Bonneville will set you back around 10 grand. So if you're new to biking and you're completely set on this is it, I want to bike, I want to do this, and you've got the funds, I would go for the Bonneville. If you're still a little bit unsure, then yeah, maybe get a cheaper bike and just see how you feel in a year. One thing I would say is don't get a cheaper bike out of the needs of feeling that you need to build your confidence. All that's going to happen is that in 6 months you'll feel exactly fine on the bike, and all you're going to have to do is sell that bike. It's going to be a load of hassle, and then you're going to end up with a Bonneville anyway. So if that's the reason why you want a cheaper bike, I would advise against that. Right, so overall, Bonneville T120, is it a good first bike? One word answer, yes. I think it's a great bike for beginners. The way it makes you ride, the nice way you can flat foot it, the power delivery, it's a fast bike, it looks great. The only negative, like I said, is the price tag. But again, if you've got that finances, there's nothing there to suggest you can't get this Bonneville T120. Hope this video has made it a little bit clearer on your decision getting the T120. Let us know down below why you want one, what drew you to them, and let us know if you've got one and what you think of it. Be sure to like, comment and subscribe the video. Hope you've enjoyed. This has been Alex from No Place To Be. See you later.